first slap did not come from a hand. It came from a smile. Grace knew something was wrong the moment her mother-in-law smiled too hard and said, "Welcome home, my daughter." The way Mama Rose said "my daughter" sounded like a warning. Grace had just moved into her husband Daniel's family house after their wedding. She was excited, nervous, and very hopeful. Daniel had told her many times, "My mother is strong, but she has a good heart." Grace wanted to believe him. The first day went quietly, too quietly. Mama Rose watched Grace like a security camera. When Grace swept the floor, Mama Rose sighed loudly. When Grace cooked, Mama Rose tasted the food and shook her head without a word. That night, Mama Rose knocked on their door. "Grace," she said sweetly, "in this house, we wake up by 5 a.m. A good wife does not sleep like a queen." Grace smiled. "Yes, ma." Daniel looked confused but said nothing. The next morning, Grace woke up early and started cooking. Mama Rose entered the kitchen, folded her arms and said, "So you don't know how to cut onions properly?" Grace laughed softly. "I'm still learning, ma." Mama Rose puffed. "Learning at your age?" Grace kept smiling, but inside her head she whispered, "God, is this marriage or military training?" As Grace served breakfast, Mama Rose suddenly pushed the plate away. "This food is too salty," she announced loudly. Daniel tasted it. "It's fine, Mama." Mama Rose turned sharply and stared at Grace. "Are you teaching my son to talk back to me?" Grace froze, and that was when she knew. This marriage had just entered the battlefield. The kitchen became a war zone. Every pot Grace touched became suspicious. Every meal she cooked became a problem. If the soup was hot, Mama Rose complained it would burn her throat. If it was warm, Mama Rose said Grace was lazy. One afternoon, Mama Rose called Grace into the sitting room. "Sit," she ordered. Grace sat. "I married your husband's father when I was younger than you," Mama Rose began. "I suffered. I endured. I never talked back." Grace nodded respectfully. Mama Rose leaned forward. "So don't come here and start doing things your own way." Grace smiled. "Yes, ma." But later that evening, Mama Rose entered the kitchen and shouted, "Who poured oil like this? Are we feeding an army?" Grace explained calmly, "That's how Daniel likes it." Mama Rose gasped. "So now you know my son more than me?" She stormed out. That night, Daniel whispered, "Please, just try to understand her." Grace forced a smile. "I am trying." The next morning, Grace overheard Mama Rose on the phone. "I don't know where my son picked this girl from," Mama Rose said loudly. "She smiles too much. Those ones are dangerous." Grace almost laughed. But then Mama Rose added, "I will expose her true colors soon." Grace's smile slowly faded. Expose her? How? She suddenly felt a cold fear crawling to her chest. And unknown to her, Mama Rose was already planning something that would shake the whole house. Mama Rose's chance came on Sunday. Relatives were visiting. The house was full. Laughter everywhere. Mama Rose was smiling proudly like a queen on her throne. Grace cooked her best meal. As everyone ate, Mama Rose suddenly dropped her spoon. She held her chest. "Oh, my stomach!" Everyone panicked. "This food wants to kill me," Mama Rose cried. "Since Grace entered this house, nothing is right." All eyes turned to Grace. Daniel stood up. "Mama, please." Mama Rose cut him off. "So now you are choosing her over me?" Grace's hands were shaking. One auntie whispered, "Maybe the food was not clean." Another said, "These modern wives don't respect elders." Grace felt tears sting her eyes. Then Mama Rose stood up dramatically and announced, "I have endured enough. This girl must leave my house." The room went silent. Grace slowly stood up. Everyone expected her to cry. Instead, she smiled. That smile scared Mama Rose. Grace cleared her throat and said calmly, "Ma, should I say the truth now?" The room froze. Mama Rose's face changed. "What truth?" she snapped. Grace took a deep breath, and that was when everyone realized this drama was far from over. Grace walked to the kitchen and came back holding 2 small containers. "I kept quiet for peace," Grace said softly, "but today I will speak." She opened the first container. "This is the soup Mama ate." She opened the second. "This is the same soup I ate." Then she turned to the relatives. "I noticed Mama always complained after eating my food, so I decided to watch closely." Mama Rose shouted, "Are you accusing me?" Grace smiled gently. "No, Ma, I'm explaining." She looked at Daniel. Your mother adds extra salt to her plate when no one is watching. Gasps filled the room. Mama Rose's mouth opened and closed. Grace continued, I was scared to speak before, but today I realized silence would destroy my marriage. Daniel stared at his mother. Mama Rose tried to laugh. This girl is lying. Grace calmly handed the container to an auntie. Taste. The auntie tasted both. Her eyes widened. They are different, she said. Silence. Mama Rose slowly sat down. For the first time, she looked small. Daniel spoke quietly. Mama, why? Mama Rose's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid, she whispered. Afraid of losing my son. Grace walked to her and knelt down. I'm not here to take your son, she said softly. I'm here to love him with you. Mama Rose broke down crying. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. She looked at Grace and said, Can you forgive me? Everyone held their breath. Grace did not answer immediately. The room was silent. Then she smiled and said, Yes, Mama, I forgive you. Mama Rose cried harder and hugged her. From that day, things changed. Mama Rose started teaching Grace instead of attacking her. Grace started asking questions instead of keeping quiet. Daniel finally slept peacefully. Laughter returned to the house. One evening, Mama Rose tasted Grace's food and said, Add small pepper next time. Grace laughed. Yes, ma. They both laughed. Peace had finally come. A home survives not by control, but by love. Silence can destroy a marriage, and pride can break a family. Respect, patience, and honest communication bring peace.
Thanks for watching. Every story carries a lesson. Don't miss the next one. Subscribe and join our storytelling family.